Hello, I have some progress on that web extension. I've literally been working on it all fucking day. I dove really deep into it. I'm really enjoying the project because it's like, if I get this done, it'll be so easy to just download all the fucking dip music that I need. And I am very, very close to that point. So, I'll show you what I got right now. So, you can see we're on the uh, YouTube just page right now. I was originally on this page. This is kind of where you reload the plugin, but this is kind of what the plugin's looking like right now. It's just still temporary plugin. Sorry, extension, more specifically. But if we go up here, we'll see all my extensions. Then we'll have slash playlist right here. It'll ask for permission to read the page. So it won't actually read the page like haphazardly. It will ask permission is needed to read and change data here. And that's what this kind of circle means, is that it wants to change data, but it's gotta, you gotta run it for a visit. So in order to do that, you just click on it. Boom. All right, look at that. Okay, so we have, it's gonna be really small on your end because I'm on a 4K monitor and this is not gonna scale too well. But again, it says status, not pissed, and it says fetch right here. And what this'll do is if I were to click fetch, actually, you know what will happen? This is actually gonna break. It's gonna say 0 playlists. So if I press fetch, I found 0 playlists. That is actually because I did not expand my actual playlist right here. Because YouTube actually, as far as I'm aware, doesn't download like your library of playlists yet until you press this button. So watch, I'm gonna press it right, 3, 2, 1. It took like a half a second there for it to open up. I'm pretty sure that's just YouTube downloading, like making an API request to get the actual things. Because now these actually exist. So if I were to open up my extension again and fetch, now it found 74 playlists. So I have 74 playlists. Not just in general, but playlists that have the format of something slash something. Because the way my playlists work is that I organize it by directory. So it is actually missing Macloid. That is actually incorrect. I guess there's technically 75. This is like the outlier here because there's Macloid's not really a fucking genre. It's just Kevin Macloid music, and I always pronounce it incorrectly. I'm not gonna fucking pronounce it right. All right. But yeah, it grabbed all the playlists. It checked all of these playlists on the side here, and it checked for all the ones that have a slash in them. And for me to just kind of prove that, I have it actually print out every single one that has a slash in it. So you can see right here, it says every single playlist that I own. You can see I actually have a test playlist that still has test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Goes 10 directories in. And my original script did actually support that. And this one should as well. But I'm not quite there yet. I'll show you how far I've gotten so far. But yeah, it does look through every single playlist here, and it will just grab the ones that are kind of formatted in that directory sort of thing, which is kind of what I'm going to be using it for, because it's going to be downloaded into subdirectories, and I could organize it pretty well through there. So once it's fetched, it's not persistent when you close the tab yet. Right now, there is a background process that can save state, and it could also save state in like local storage and everything, but I just don't have it. So if I were to fetch it again, click off of it, go back on, it'll reset the entire state of the app because I haven't synced anything up because nothing is final. But if you press fetch, it does also say download. So what happens when we press download? Well, let me open something up. So a limitation that, let me actually, Windows Shift T, I think? Window Controls T? There we go. That pins it. It's a Power Toys sort of Windows thing. So now if I click off of it, it won't move. So what this is a separate application running on my PC. The reason why I need this is because web extensions are not allowed to run like any applications, because obviously it's a web extension. You don't want it running like fucking remove all files and it'll fucking remove everything from your PC. So you have to do it in an indirect way. And the only two sort of ways that you can do that are either through native messaging, which I spent way too fucking long trying to figure out. I spent like at least 4 hours trying to figure out native messaging, which is supposed to be like the way that a web application can talk directly to just like a normal application. But I could not figure that out for the life of me, and it requires registry keys, and it's like not, it's different for every single platform and browser because the keys are different. It's like, oh my God. So I instead just went with a local server sort of thing. So right now, this window is running basically a web server on the local host at a specific port. So if you're not aware of how like web ports work, it's basically a web server just like asks for a port, or you request a port from a web server, and you can actually host those ports locally on your PC. So one part of your PC can request an IP address, or your IP address at a port. So in my case, it's like port 3333 or something like that. And it'll kind of query port 3333, and it won't have to actually talk to the outside internet. It'll just be on the PC. But it does have to be a separate running application because, again, this kind of has to be the middleman where this is going to run the application for me as opposed to the web extension, which cannot. So if I were to go back into the /playlist and press download, it does actually transfer all of my playlist IDs to this application, and it sends it to, it's actually a Rust application. It sends it to run and download every single playlist I got. So technically I am kind of doxing every single playlist I have here. If you put in any of these IDs, you will find one of my playlists. They're all unlisted. So if you're curious, you could fucking type one of them in and you can see if you get lucky. I think they might actually be in order though. High Action Preparing might be like the first one that you saw. I'm not entirely sure. I might not be, but you'll have to find out if you want to see. But it went through all 74 playlists and it attempted to download them. However, of course, you can see it just says failed to download playlist. I'm not entirely sure why that is right now. That's the thing that I kind of stopped at, but I'm not like, I haven't really worked on it too much to figure that out. It's just getting late, so I thought, this is finally a satisfying time to just kind of like set it down and work on it maybe later. But I got this far, so I'm at the point where all the playlist IDs are in a separate application outside of the web browser. And in this application, I could do literally anything. I could remove System32 if I really wanted to. Like, no, it'd have to be admin permissions, but you get the point. It's a Rust application. You can run whatever you need to. It does ask for permissions whenever it needs stuff. Like, for example, because I opened a port from this command prompt, it actually asked me if it could access the local network, because that is technically a local network sort of thing. So that's something that Windows did prompt me for, and it made me explicitly allow it. So that's where I'm at right now. I could kind of show the code for it real quick. Let me undo that kind of pin there. So this is kind of the code. The original code over here is my original like node YTDLP sync thing that I made a bit ago. It's on my GitHub, but this like doesn't work anymore for some reason. Whenever I run it, it's always like, oh, incomplete data, and it just fucking breaks. So I kind of need to redo it, but I'm kind of making the same thing over here. So in Rust, this is the application that's running the web server. You can see it's running on localhost 33346. And it just listens at the /download sort of page or any data. And with that data, it just kind of parses it. This doesn't really do much because, again, right now it's going through each playlist ID, and then it's trying to run YTDLP, but it is just kind of failing. And fun fact again, ChatGPT actually wrote most of this on Rust too. I don't know Rust that well, like at all. So I actually just kind of asked ChatGPT, I'm like, hey, how the fuck would you do this? And of course, it kind of gave me incorrect shit early on, but you know, I just keep asking it to fix those things, and it just works. Obviously, it doesn't work all the way because YTTLP is not running properly and it's failing to download. But I just need to figure out why it's failing to download, and I'll just address that. But I'm really surprisingly close to like actually just having this done, because I have it so that, again, I have the playlist IDs. I just have to download it. I just have to call this command, and that's kind of sort of it. I mean, the ideal situation in this case would be it having the same functionality this had, which is a really big file. Reason being is because it normalizes the audio of every single audio file that it downloaded. It also doesn't re-download any files it has already downloaded, and it also removes files that are no longer in the playlist. That's going to be a tricky one, because I have no fucking clue how to do that in Rust. It was pretty damn complex to do it in here. That's kind of what happens right here. So it checks if a download archived video is not in the playlist. And effectively, it just checks the files on the server, or no. It checks the kind of download log file and checks if that playlist, or sorry, video ID is already in there. And if it finds an ID that isn't actually in there anymore in the actual like playlist it just fetched, as opposed to the stuff that's been downloaded, it'll explicitly delete it. But the way it does that is it has to find the specific file that has the specific tag, because the way it's very complex. It's pretty convoluted. I mean, I could actually show that real quick. Like I just wanted to double check because it's been a while since I did it. But here's some 2 American Neutral songs from Limo Recording Studio. I go into properties, details. The video ID is actually saved in the comments of the metadata. It's convoluted. It is, but it actually did work for a bit, and I just want to make it so it's integrated with my browser, and I mean, it'll be its own application now, but the ideal situation is I could just run this and it'll be easy peasy lemon squeezy, because surprisingly, if I were to open up Task Manager, this does not take up fucking any resources. This is /playlist right here. It's taking up a whopping 0.9 megabytes of memory. 0.9. Most PCs have more than 8 gigabytes, and a gigabyte is 1,000 megabytes. So yeah, there's like no overhead for this running, really. Now there is overhead if I were to like rerun it, because it is actually working at that point. So if I were to rerun the download, I think we should be able to see something happening here. Maybe. Maybe not. Might only be happening in terminal. Not entirely sure. Yeah, it should just be /playlist, but I don't actually know. It might just be that low of resources, but I think it is just because the terminal's open, because it's not a background process. It is just a process running in a terminal right now. But the idea is I could probably make it a background process, because it'll just sit there and do absolutely nothing until it gets a post request of all the playlist IDs, and then it'll download shit, and then it'll just stop and just hang out again. So that's kind of the idea. It's quite a lot of stuff, but hopefully I could get it done. I'm really close. I'd say I'm about halfway there now. Because you might think I'm like pretty darn close to the end, but the rest part is going to be the difficult spot to work on. So I'm gonna have to try to figure that out, because Rust is kind of fucking scary. And this JavaScript file was already scary enough. I gotta do it in Rust now. So I'll fuck around and find out. But anyways, that's kind of the progress I got. And Sukadia.dev/help for the Discord. Bye.